I've got something to say.
Mr. Brett?
I want to talk about the ad hoc committee a minute. I don't understand why, when we've got citizens and commissioners volunteering their time to kindly help us out by trying to help us make sure we spend the ad hoc, well, not the ad hoc, but the relief money the right way. So I don't understand why we're cutting them out because they was volunteering. So with that said, I'm just gonna let you know, I'm gonna turn in a resolution next month to reinstate that committee.
You can do that if you like, Mr. Harrell, that's your prerogative. The reason that we done that, it's time for us to move on. We have got to apply for some of these as grants. And it's not saying that we can't receive any more information as far as other projects, but it's time we was moving on with what the information that's already been collected. And we're not asking, we're not saying these people are done and gone. I've made it plain that these people still needs to come, and we're meeting jointly now that all this information could be passed on to everybody. And I encourage each and every commissioner that can to come, because when it comes down to the final point, the commissioners are the ones going to have to say where this money's spent.
Well, I think you don't understand. I mean, the ad hoc committee has been working with the state and they've been waiting on some approval.
I do understand.
Let me finish.
I do understand.
No, you don't. Let me finish. Now, they have done everything they tried to do, and they took their time, and you as budget chair should have been at their meetings. And you was not there, so I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you about it.
You're not gonna sit here and
argue finish.
About it. Please finish.
I'm going to turn in the resolution. I'm not going to argue with you about it. You can say whatever you want. And I don't understand why we're not using the Tennessee development to do the grants instead of the other guy. And I mean, that's going to be the next issue too. So, but all I'm going to say, I'm going to turn in a resolution next month to reinstate that committee.
Thank you, Mr. Harrell. Next item on the agenda be resolutions. Moving on to them, 2022-03-01. And that's introduced by Commissioner DeWitt.
Mr. Chairman, if we could, resolutions 1 and 2 sort of rely on each other, and they're kind of reversed in the way we need to pass them. So if we could, I'd like to do resolution 2 first, if that's okay.
Any objections? If not, we'll go to resolution number 2, Mr. DeWitt.
Okay, and I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but because these resolutions have to do with things that the ad hoc committee has recommended, I just want to let everybody know that the ad hoc funds committee met May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December 2021, and February, March 22. 10 total meetings. And as Commissioner Harrell said, Chairman Brewer, you haven't been at any of them. 7 committee members have dedicated more than 25 hours each of their time at no cost to the county. And I became chairman of that committee by default. It hasn't been an easy process for any of us. We've listened to and gathered information from 36 different organizations. And until January this year, we were operating under the interim final rule. No clear guidelines as what we could fund and what we couldn't. Early this month, after our last meeting, we moved forward. We asked more than 10 of those 36 to clarify their income losses due to COVID, so we could make recommendations at the next month's meetings. September 21, we passed a recommendation, which was then presented as a resolution to utilize the state COVID relief grant funding to make the radio system being constructed digital. That motion as amended passed 14-5. November of 21, we passed along a recommendation which was presented as a resolution to purchase protective gear for Hawkins County Fire Department. That motion passed 20-0. And also in November 21, and then again in December, and then again in January, when Commissioner Thacker introduced it, we introduced a resolution to fund hydrants in Stanley Valley, and that passed 14-4. This month, we've got these two resolutions that I'm gonna get ready to read here with a vote yet to be taken. Now, you can see that we have worked our way through the process to get things done. And the statement you made that you're dismissing the ad hoc committee, and it's time for the budget committee to take it over because you haven't been informed of what's going on with my committee, is very discouraging. We have worked diligently under the guidelines from the federal government to come up with recommendations for the budget committee, and it's just now reached the stage where we can make recommendations based on those same guidelines. Would you agree, Dan?
Yes,
Would
sir.
you agree, Nancy?
Yes.
They have just recently become final. I think if you take a look at what other counties are doing with this money, we are not behind. We are not making recommendations. We're at the same stage or possibly ahead of what other counties are doing. I wasn't informed the ad hoc committee would be discussed at this month's budget committee meeting, or I would have made an effort to be there. Typically Mondays, I'm really slammed at work, and I can't make it to meetings unless I know that I need to be there for a reason. I don't get paid for those meetings either, but when you asked me to be there, I'm there. You didn't even ask me to talk about the ad hoc committee at this last budget committee meeting. I was informed that I'm not sure how you think your budget committee can just step in and take care of it, take over, or if you even have the authority to do that. But I'm really disappointed that you just dismissed the committee in the middle of what we were doing because you don't think we're making progress. I'm especially disappointed for the citizens that were on that committee. We've got one sitting out there in the audience right now. The least you could have done is come to our next meeting and discuss what your plans were with it so we could more or less defend ourselves, but you just dismissed us out of hand. So I'm asking that you consider rescinding the decision to dismiss that committee and attend our next meeting to discuss it. And that's just all I have to say on it. Move on to the resolution. It's 2022-03.
Hold on just 1 minute. I was personally attacked, so I get off
Okay, you go right ahead.
to respond. The reason that I haven't been able to attend the ad hoc committee meetings, I have a previous meeting on the second Thursday of every month. Now, there was one meeting I remember that wasn't held on the second Thursday that I wasn't able to attend, and the best I remember, I was didn't test positive, but I had COVID symptoms. And I don't expose anyone. I think I've got those symptoms, Mr. DeWitt. And you misrepresented a little bit of what I said at the budget committee. I did not say that you all guys were completely out of the picture. I encourage each and every one of you individuals and the rest of the county commission to, let's all sit down and put our heads together and prioritize what information that we've already got. You all have collected mountains of information, and I appreciate that. I appreciate all the time. And if you look, I personally think.
Should you step down if it's gonna get personal? You're supposed to.
I've got an opportunity to respond. I was attacked,
He's all right.
Charles.
Okay.
I was attacked, and I've got an opportunity to explain myself, when I personally am attacked. And, I'm sorry that everybody feels that way, but, I feel like it's time that we move on to the next step with this process. And we can't just keep taking information. There's a time that we need to prioritize this information we've already got, and along with
Your 3 minutes is up.
applying for more information and grants. This other monies has got to be applied for. We're not going to get them automatic. Go ahead and read your resolution.
Okay, I just want to say that, I appreciate the fact you can't come to the meetings. You could have asked me for a recap afterwards. We talk on the phone, and I could have told you what the meeting was about. And as far as asking us to still be part of it, you dismissed the committee. That's your words. I've got the video, so you can't really argue that. So, to the Honorable Rick Brewer, Chairman and members of the Hawkins County Board of Commission in regular session, met this 28th day of March 2021, or 2022 rather. Resolution reference exercising the option to designate $10 million as the county's revenue loss in regards to the American Rescue Plan Act funds. Whereas in March 2021, an ad hoc committee was appointed to determine and make recommendations to appropriate expenditures of the federal ARPA COVID stimulus funding. And whereas per the final rule issued by the federal government, which becomes effective April 1, 2022, a county receiving federal ARPA funding can take a one-time standard allowance for revenue loss up to $10 million. And whereas the above-mentioned ad hoc committee at its meeting Thursday, February 10th, 2022, passed a motion to forward on to the budget committee and then on to the full county commission a recommendation concerning setting aside $10 million of the county total funding for revenue loss to use toward government services. And whereas when brought before the budget committee at their meeting February 22nd, 2022, the committee was in agreement with the recommendation. And whereas although the final rule becomes effective April 1, Jason Mumpower, Controller and Treasurer for the state of Tennessee, has issued a memo stating recipients can choose to take advantage of the final rule's flexibility and simplifications immediately ahead of the effective date. Now, therefore be it resolved that the full commission approves setting aside $10 million of Hawkins County's ARPA funds in a designated account line as a lump sum covering the county's expected revenue losses to COVID. And therefore be it resolved that the county's budget director be directed to place the money in an accounting line item he deems appropriate per state and federal rules for recipients and distribution of these funds. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Motion by Commissioner DeWitt, second by Commissioner Harrell. Is there any discussion? If not, everyone cast your vote, please.
There it is. Your 3 minutes are up.
19 yes, 2 absent.
Resolution